Good day, YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's very different video on YouTube. And my throat is actually starting to sound a little bit better. It's not yet completely healed yet, but I'm straightforward back in my backyard garden, and I'm actually going to show you all kinds of different things that have been happening so far throughout the month of July. And boy, I tell you what, it's almost like complete heartache to get through almost the end of the year. And we're still straightforward stuck in the middle part of summer, as obvious as this sounds. So, let me just straightforward start off right over here. So, as you can see, we've got a very vast swathe of nasturtiums, and it's interesting to see how the nasturtiums would potentially lose most of the flowers, because I've actually have deadheaded most of the flowers to prolong the periodic amount of flowering. And what's also interesting is that I've also got a lot of amazing nasturtium green leaves here. In fact, there's a very huge swathe of nasturtium leaves, and as you can see, they actually have grown very, very massive, and in fact, they have just grown so colossal and ginormous. Now, that is amazing. You can actually start eating the nasturtiums if you want to, but I'm just bone lazy just because, and there's a very weird alarm sound right at the background here, which I'm not going to straightforward think about. Because what's most important is, as you can see, we've got very huge, vast swathes of nasturtiums here. Of course, there's other plants that I can definitely have a look at. The nasturtium flowers are still alright, and of course, yes, I can start to see a varying degree of red, scarlet, red, orange, and all the other colours and whatnot. It's interesting, I haven't seen any yellow nasturtiums, which is a bit rare. Somehow I haven't seen them, somehow. But of course, yes, apart from the nasturtiums, I'm also starting to see, what is that crop growing there? Is that a tomato seedling? Or is that another potato seedling, which I'm not quite totally sure about it yet? Is it a potato or is it a tomato? Please let me know. In fact, I actually do have both potatoes and tomatoes. In fact, you can actually crossbreed them into, like, what do you call them? Pomatoes. It's a bit of a very strange, a bit of a very rarely ever produced crop, but they are straightforward very beneficial because you can have both tomatoes and potatoes at the same time without even getting poisoned as well too. Yes, as you can see there's cosmoses, those pink flowers. Amazingly, we're starting to see a very huge variation of different cosmoses. I can start to see some more cosmoses which have, basically lost their heads. You can basically deadhead them if you want to, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to straightforward think about harvesting the seeds that they have, in particular the little cosmos seed heads, which are not yet ready. I think they should be ready by autumn or winter, I think, actually around late summer or early autumn. But nevertheless, we've actually got a nice variation of different types of cosmoses. That one there is losing the various amount of petals. It's not just 8 full petals. We've actually got at least about a varying degree of petals. There you go, we've actually got smaller variations, and then we've also got larger variations, and same with this one here. It's actually funny, I'm actually so glad that these two have actually got flowers, which is just chronically amazing. And apart from the nasturtium flowers, what I've also have been doing was harvesting various nasturtium seeds, and they're actually quite very relatively common to pick off during at least around mid to late summer, and you can even harvest them as late as autumn. We're starting to see lots of dandelions right there, and there's also a bit of a new change. Now, this was once overgrown grass, but I actually stripped it off so that I can make room for zinnias, as you can start to see here. And because obviously we haven't had that much rainfall, and because of the fact that, as we've already had some wet weather and the sunshine has, basically evaporated all of that water, well, guess what, guys? The best part is that, hey, we're starting to see a complete evaporation of the seeds and the seedlings themselves, actually. So I should have just said the word seedlings. What's a bit disappointing is that what we're also starting to see is some of the seedlings starting to decay. Like those zinnia seedlings, like they've actually been gnawed by insects. Probably caterpillars, but I wouldn't probably tell. Same with these ones there. They look a little bit dry. But we do have some rain from tomorrow. and the alarm always seems to kick off very crazily at times. And just as I was gardening, there's also this very strange big plant weed looking thing, which I'm not quite totally sure about. Is that like a big dandelion or something like that too? That can cause some significant impacts to like gardening and stuff, because, well, it is a weed and it is straightforward competing against the zinnias. Of course, the zinnias have got very fuzzy looking leaves, as you can definitely tell. This one is also about to flower as well. So we're starting to see some very good signs that the zinnias are actually doing very, very well. We've actually got rain tomorrow. And yes, we've got lots of nasturtiums. We've already talked about these. And actually, if I go ahead and show you where the nasturtium seedlings are, well, I mean the seeds actually. If I show you where the seeds are, if you know where to look, right over there on the grass, you can actually see all kinds of insects right there. The coreopsis has actually died off. As you can see, no more flower blossoms, which is a bit sad, but they are nice to plant. Okay, there you go. There are some very nice looking, fresh looking nasturtium seedlings. Now, one of the most fundamental core things I like to do is to actually leave them for quite some time until they actually grow very, very big. So the personal choice for me is, best part is that if you really want to go ahead and grow some more nasturtiums for next year, is wait for the seeds to get bigger. And in that case, hey, that's a much nicer thing to do, because you can actually help store as many nasturtium seeds to plant for next year. I do know the nasturtiums do sort of die off, but they also sort of come back at the same time as well. Like when you plant these plants right here as well, I think you don't actually have to harvest all the seeds, obviously, all by yourself. They will straightforward die off, but some of them would potentially die off during winter, and then leave the seeds over there underground and or underneath. I think by spring, I'm sort of thinking that by next year's spring, hopefully we will start to see more growths of nasturtium, which I'm very much curious to just see about. I'm not quite pretty much sure about how the nasturtiums are going to survive during winter time. I think that's my only thing I'm straightforward concerned of, because these plants are mainly adapted to sort of, let's just say, subtropical climates, like those in South America, which is where they originated from. And then we've also got this big cosmos. Now, I don't know why this actually hasn't been flowering, but if I actually take a look through their little branches, they actually do seem to look like they are going to have some flowers, but they don't actually look like they have at the moment. It's just a very vast and overgrown sort of plant. And look, it's actually made a home for some spiders here. Now, that's actually amazing that we've actually got little spiders around here. And then we've also got more dandelions right here, which are just straightforward encroaching towards my meadow area right here. Okay, as you can see, there's another big seed. As you can see there, I can actually just pluck it off from the plant, put it into one of the jars or anything else just to pretty much store it. I'll put it somewhere cool and dry without any exposure to moisture, because if there's any moisture, well, then the seeds won't get dry enough. And making sure that the seeds is nice and dry makes it very nice, and actually makes it very effective for the plants to actually grow very, very well, and actually helps the seeds to have a much better chance at germinating. Because if the seeds still remain green, they're not going to germinate. And there's a lot of magpie activity right here, right in the background here. So apart from the nasturtiums, which has been highly successful at attracting so many bees and wasps, and the cosmoses, the zinnias are also doing very well. The sunflower seedlings, well, this one here is not doing very well. Unfortunately, not many of the sunflower seedlings have been doing so far this year. And probably one thing I've noticed is that the way that they just bend, I think you need to go and get some sort of wigwam or some sort of support to support these things. These things look a little bit too tall, from what I can actually tell. Same with the zinnias as well. They do look a little bit tall. But nevertheless, they are straightforward, uprighting themselves. And I can actually tell it, guys, my garden is actually looking relatively good. Although I do see some more sunflower seedlings, which are already trying to, like, get a bit straightwards, I suppose, hey? I think they really need to have a lot much more sunlight. I think the way they just bend really depends on which angle the sun is. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they often tend to act a little bit funny like that, hey? There's more dandelions here. And then we've actually got a big zinnia flower. And there's a wasp trying to get right over in my territory right here. Oh my gosh, these things can be absolute pests. My goodness me, hopefully I haven't got stung by a stupid wasp who tries to come along and nick off right over my skin. Right, anyways, so we've got some zinnias right over in my neighbourhood here. So as you can see, hey, we've actually got all sorts of flowers that are right over my backyard garden. And apart from the nasturtiums and also the zinnias, which this one here might potentially flower, and so is this one right here. I think there's only quite a few zinnias that might actually be potential for flowering, of course. And we've actually got more weeds right there, which I can't really tell. And then we've also got more various bits there. There's the nasturtiums right here, all looking good. And if I track across, there's more shrubbery right here. There's a lot much more in the way of hedgerows and that sort of stuff. What is that wasp? Is that a bee or is that a wasp? That looks like a very small looking honeybee. Is that a wasp or is it a bee? Can somebody tell me about that one, please? And then tracking along, we've actually got some more wheat pretty much ready to be harvested for by the time when the hot sun comes along and bake its way through. And we've also got more cosmos growing right here, and there's so many insects buzzing around. I hope they're not wasps. And hopefully there's more of these little dandelions right here. And then there's also another flower which I can't really tell. There's some more blue flowers right here which I've forgotten the name of. And let me just track across here, and there's someone doing a bit of machinery work in the garden, which is quite noisy somehow. Those blackberry shrubs haven't been cutting down. Well, that's not really great to see. Oh man, I don't know why these things haven't been taken down. Well, that's actually really sad, because if you got that, well then you're going to straightforward pose a negative effect to your health and safety risks in the backyard garden, which, to be honest, it's not very good indeed. And we also do have a few roses as well. Hopefully they're straightforward still alive. I wonder if I should straightforward cut these and probably bring them to my parents, because these flowers do look beautiful. I'm pretty sure, but they do really attract. Quite curious actually, do they attract insects? And look at that rose, it is just stunning to look at. I don't know what species of rose that is, but boy, do they look very, very beautiful. They look nice, don't they? I wish I could straightforward, come along and take one of these home. Oh, actually, you know what? I can cut these out together. It actually looks very beautiful. Oops, sorry, I think I've just killed it. But they do look very fantastic, those flowers. Very, very beautiful. And apart from the rose that I've decided to just chuck my way through, there's actually a lot of spiky weeds I've decided to take over in my backyard garden. Well, that's not really great, guys. The wild cabbage flowers are actually doing very nicely as well here too. So, that's why I'm starting to see a lot of wild cabbage flowers. There's a lot of constant bending and a bit of inconsistency going around here. The plant looks like it's drying up. So dry, which I'm probably guessing, look at that. It's actually breaking up. Look at that. It's actually quite very brittle. So I can just crumble the whole plant up together. That's not very ethical here, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I could try and get rid of this old growth if I want to and make way for some new ones. But I don't know. That's just how I'm thinking of. Oh, I think this one here. Oh, I think this appendage here is also broken as well. That's not why I probably guess it would potentially be like that. But I've decided to trim like that, even though we've got some more wild cabbage plants. Planting like goodness around here. Maybe I should have straightforward kept that one. Oh well. Then we've also got these orange flowers here, which unfortunately they've just died off. The onions, I've actually planted more new onion seedlings. They've actually been doing very well here. The onions are doing fairly great. Then we've also got these ones right here. Pretty much it's like a second main crop of onions right here. This one's actually been doing very, very well. I could have just at least harvested that onion throughout the summer in a very similar fashion to potatoes, because you can do like the first season main crop, and then you can do the second season main crop, which will be harvested during winter. And I've actually done a whole bunch of other stuff here too, and there's a lot of heavy machinery, actually light machinery in the background here. I've actually taken out so many of the nasty weeds that were right over in the backyard garden, and I also cleared off some of the old dead roots of various plant pots and various flower beds that don't need to have that, because if you just have a backyard garden which has no, well, let's just say no fresh plants, well then you can just deadhead them and make way for some new ones, which I think it's a very good thing to do. And we've also got more invasive blackberry shrubs, as you can just see. There's a lot of spikiness going on here. Not really great, isn't it? Nope. And then we've also got these weird white flower things, which I've got no idea what these are. There's a big nasturtium right here as well too, but has it really started to generate some flowers? No, it actually doesn't look like it has. That's a bit sad. I think the earliest times, if you want to go ahead and have nasturtiums with flowers, do it around April or May. I'd say April to May, because I think that's where the highest chances of getting flowers are. But nevertheless, this is my backyard garden. I haven't really been tidying up the rest of the whole backyard garden of late because I've been busy with other stuff. But nevertheless, straightforward. This is the amazing place to straightforward wander around, to just take it to some fresh air. Hopefully, if I want to. So, I think that's probably about it in this video. Gardening of all, I shall straightforward leave this video here because I don't want my voice to just straightforward go kaput, because obviously with my sore throat, it's actually getting a little bit better without the croakiness around me. So if you really enjoyed in this fairly straightforward gardening video on YouTube, a bit of a walkthrough of course, please give this video a very good like, subscribe for more for flat videos in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Geez, I don't have that much, not enough, I haven't got that amount of space, hey, to pretty much rehabilitate all the plants in my backyard garden.